Hi, I'm Miss Lena.
Hi, I'm Miss Andrea. How are you feeling today, Miss Lena?
I'm feeling a little bit blue today.
Oh,
Not for any sad reason. I don't think my coffee has kicked in, so I'm a little tired and slow.
okay. Slow. Oh. I'm feeling a little nervous. I think I made a hasty decision this morning, too fast, too quickly, and I like to think things through more. So I'm kind of a little
Feeling.
yeah. But
Okay.
I have a strategy when I feel that way that helps me to get towards the green.
Is it your checklist?
One of my strategies is my checklist. So we did our check-in, but the second part is our breathing exercise. Would you do this with me?
Of course I will.
Awesome. So we're going to practice tortoise breathing. So please find a comfortable position. I'm gonna stay standing and roll my shoulders back, grounded with my feet. Okay, and then I'm gonna find a focus point with my eyes closed. I'm going to breathe.
Is it okay if I don't have
Oh,
my
of
eyes
course.
closed?
Wherever you want to look at.
All right.
Just have a focus. You can look down at your toes, you can look straight ahead, whatever works for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for asking that. And then we're going to breathe in for a count of 3, and then swallow it, okay? Swallow your breath, push it back down your throat, just like the tortoise does, okay? And then we are going to exhale with control out of our nostrils, our nose.
Okay.
Okay?
I might use my mouth because I'm a little stuffy too.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's okay.
Well, let's try this, okay? Again, find a focal point. Breathe in. And again. One more time. I'm feeling much better. How about you?
A little better, a little more energy.
Awesome. So we did this. So we could check off breathing exercise. Now we have a book.
Cool. I have a book here called The Foolish Tortoise. The Foolish Tortoise has pictures by Eric Carle. It was written by Richard Buckley, and it's published by Little Simon. A tortoise, tired of being slow, impatient to get up and go, took off his large and heavy shell and left it lying where it fell. Hooray, he cried. Now I've been freed. I'll see the world at double speed. Look at him go. Though faster, he was not express, and his protection was far less. So when he heard a hornet's drone, the tortoise crept beneath a stone. A hungry bird came swooping past. He looked so fierce and flew so fast. The tortoise hid behind some trees and felt quite weak behind the knees. It's way down there. I don't feel safe. There's too much risk. If only I could be more brisk. He headed for the riverbed. A fish swam up. The tortoise fled. Along his way, our hero went and almost had an accident. A snake with open jaws slid near. The tortoise backed away in fear. A hare, a hound, a horse raced by. So rapidly they seemed to fly. The tortoise gasped, sat goggle-eyed. I'll never be that quick, he sighed.
Aww.
He wandered on. The sun rose high. I wish I had more shade, he cried. A sudden thunderstorm swept in and soaked the tortoise to the skin. Aww.
He's having a rough patch.
The wind rose up, and soon the breeze was bending branches in the trees. The tortoise shivered. Now I'm cold. I wish I hadn't been so bold. I think I've lost the urge to roam. I think it's time that I went home. Without my shell, I don't feel right. So when his shell came into sight, he climbed back in and said, "Good night."
Oh,
The end.
I like how it had a happy ending.
I did too.
Neat. So let's talk about some of the words they use to describe his behavior through the book that I found out. Maybe you can add if you have any, but see if we agree on where these would go. So the first one that I chose was impatient.
Yes.
Feel when you're
This is the
impatient.
page. She was impatient.
I feel like it's somewhere between the yellow and red, so possibly orange. So he's a little confused, but he's also a little frustrated with the fact that he believes his shell slows him down. So he makes that quick decision. He's too impatient about his.
I think that's a good choice.
Okay,
It's almost orange.
awesome. Okay, so the next one is he felt at risk, right?
Yes.
Was when and he was at risk, that was here, right? He was
Scared.
feeling risky, feeling
Yeah.
scared, right?
It's right there.
Okay. And then he fled, which is smart, right?
a good-
Because if you don't feel safe, it's okay as long as you know where you're going, right? To leave or flee. Okay? The next one
When he saw the
is
snake.
ooh, and he was fearful. That's important. There are some times where fear is your friend. It's keeping you safe.
Yes.
Okay? So that would be yellow because he's scared. Okay? And then we talked about him feeling weak in the knees.
Yes.
Cool. So when I feel weak in the knees, that means I'm feeling rather nervous
Or even
or
scared.
scared. Yeah.
Yeah. It's when your body
Just doesn't feel
isn't
right.
ready to do stuff.
Yes. Okay, I have two more, so bear with me. I don't feel right. He just straight out says that and identifies that, you know what, I'm not sure quite how I feel, but it just isn't right.
I
Okay?
think he's a little bit blue there.
Yes, I
because
agree.
He remembers his home. Mm-hmm. He wants to get back.
Yeah,
He's a little sad he left it.
right, and maybe a little embarrassed that he made these choices and lonely. He wants back to the comfort of his shell. And then in the end, he's back home, he's in his comfort zone, and he is happy and content. Just like I think inside the shell, he probably has that happy face on like he does
Yeah.
on the cover of the
Like
book.
on the cover. Yeah, and we can tell he's happy and content because he's comfortable enough to fall asleep. And most of us need to be comfortable when we
And feel
sleep.
safe in order to fall asleep. Awesome.
So-
So check off book. Okay, and then we have
Check out.
our checkout. So if we would love to see what your safe place is. If you have a little corner in your house, a little reading nook that you like to sit in. My kiddos like to put covers over their head and read their books. That's their little safe place when they want their comfort time. Okay, so that might help. Okay, if you want to send it here, we would love to see them. So thank you for joining us today for At Home with APS. Bye-bye.
Good morning and welcome back. For those of you who remember me, I'm Miss Hornbeck, and we also have
Mr. Denham.
All right, welcome back. We're going to do a fun warm-up for you today. All right, we are going to do a wipeout warm-up by the Safaris. So if you have access to pool noodles, I want you to grab some pool noodles. If you don't have access to pool noodles, that's okay. You can just simply pretend you have drumsticks in your hand, and you can just pretend you're drumming in front of you. If you have some sort of spatulas or something and you want to use it for that air drumming, you can use it. That's a great example of stuff you can use. We're going to go ahead and use our pool noodles. All right, you ready, Mr. Dunham? We're going to get the music, and we're going to go ahead, and this is going to be a fun warm-up. So make sure you have space around you. You're going to follow what I do. Ready? Start drumming. Drum in front. Drum fast. Drum up high. Drum down low on the floor. You should be in a squat. You should feel this in your legs. All right, drum in front again. Drum up to the side, to the right, down to the left. In front, drum fast. How fast can you go? Can you get that heart rate up? Drum to the side and to the other side and down on the floor. You should feel it in your legs. And in front, up high, fast, through the legs, behind you, in front. All right, you ready? We're gonna do some squats now. On the floor and up, on the floor and up, on the floor and up, to the side, to the up, to the top, on the floor, to the side, on the floor, to the side, on the floor, up, fast, as fast as you can go, as fast as you can go. All right, down, to the side, down, to your other side, in the center, up, to the right, up high, to the left, down low, and on the floor, behind the legs, and in front, as fast as you can, up high again. See if you can go opposite, and in the front, fast, up, down, up, down, up, down, to the side, to the other side, down, up, down, up, to the side, to the front, to the side on the floor, front in the floor, to the side, up high, as fast as you can in front of you. You should feel your heart rate going. Do you feel it, Mr. Dunham?
I can feel it.
All right. Down low. Up high. Down low. Up high. Down low. All right. Good job. All right. Now what I'd like you to do is we've talked about heart rates before. That was a good warm-up. Hopefully your heart is beating pretty fast. Again, using your middle finger and index finger, I want you to find your pulse, all right? And using your hand, I want you to show me how fast your heart is beating. Mr. Dunham, how fast is your heart beating?
Going pretty fast.
All right. So, Mr. Dunham, would you say that was a good cardiovascular?
I would say that was a great cardiovascular activity.
All right, excellent. Is this something you could do at home?
Oh yeah, it's something I'll do at home tonight before bed.
All right, excellent. I really like that. All right. We're going to move on. We're going to go back on to, we've been working with striking skills. Today we're going to do striking, all right, with short-handed implements. So we'd been doing striking, and we had been doing striking with volleyball, and we used socks, we used a Ziploc bag. So whatever really you have at your house and you can find around your house, that's what I want you to use. So a good thing that you can use, pair of socks. If you have just a Ziploc bag, you can kind of sandwich bag, just Ziploc it and blow some air into it, and it gives it, a little bit, some air so you can use it. Or if you have a balloon, all right? So when we were doing striking with, for volleyball, all right, we were using our arms. Today we're gonna continue, but we're gonna use implements today, and we're gonna use a short-handed implement. So it's a racket kind of, all right? So you can make your own racket. If you don't have, and what we used to make our own racket is we used a paper plate, and all I simply did was get a spoon from my kitchen, and I simply just taped it onto the paper plate just like this. If you don't have a spoon or something to tape the paper plate, you can just use a paper plate. And you can use any size of paper plate for this. All right, so we're gonna be working with this first, striking using an implement. But let's first discuss some things. What kind of sports do you see people using rackets? Mr. Dunham, what do you think?
Tennis.
Tennis, yep, tennis, that's a great sport. What else? What do you all think out there? Have you maybe badminton? Maybe pickleball? Maybe table tennis? Those are all sports that use some sort of racket. All right, so that's what we're gonna work on today with our racket skills. All right, so today I'm gonna use a balloon, all right? And again, like I said, if you don't have access to a balloon, that's okay. You can just simply use a sandwich bag. And we're gonna work on, and I'm gonna pick the bigger paper plate. And I'm gonna pick the bigger paper plate because right now, I would like to make sure that I'm able to keep my balloon kind of on the paper plate. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can use a smaller paper plate like Mr. Dunham is going to use, all right? So we're first gonna just start off with balancing, all right, the balloon on the paper plate, just like that. Can you at home balance your balloon on your paper plate? Mr. Dunham, good job, all right. Now, see how Mr. Dunham is kind of slowly walking around? Do you think you can move walking around with the balloon balanced on your paper plate? Good job, Mr. Dunham. And if the balloon happens to fall, or the baggie or socks, whatever you're using, that's okay. Just simply pick it back up and put it back on your paper plate. But what I'd like you to do is to try to walk around in as much space as you have without it falling off. Good job. I also like how Mr. Dunham is balancing it up high and how he is balancing it down low, and he's still moving. He's going different levels, and that makes it a lot more challenging. Would you say, Mr. Dunham?
It is more challenging, definitely, especially when I go higher up over my shoulders.
All right, so at home, what do you think's challenging for yourselves? I want you to try that. All right, now that we've done the walking around and we've done a little bit high levels and a little bit low levels, I want you to pick your most challenging one, if it's high or if it's low, and I want you to see, can you walk around for, what do you think? Should we say 30 seconds?
Yeah, I think 30 seconds
All
sounds
right.
pretty good.
I want you to see if you can walk around for 30 seconds at your most challenging and see how many times it falls off. All right, ready and go. I'm gonna pick high because that's challenging for me. And let's see if I can do this for 30 seconds without it falling off my paper plate. One thing I noticed that Mr. Dunham is doing, is he going fast or is he going slow? Mr. Dunham, are you going slow?
I'm going slow, yeah.
All right, so does that make it easier or harder?
A little bit easier. It gives me more control over the balloon and the paddle that I'm holding on to.
All right, so that's our 30 seconds, good job. How many times did your balloon fall off? Mr. Dunham, did your balloon fall off at all?
My balloon didn't fall off.
All right,
this
good.
attempt.
Good job. Mine didn't fall off really either, all right? So what could we do to make it a little bit more challenging for us? How about you at home? Did your balloon fall off? If your balloon fell off, that's okay. Hopefully you just picked it back up and you just continued to walk around for whatever was most challenging. All right, what we're gonna do now to make it a little bit more challenging is I want you to flip your racket over. All right, is the paper plate as flat with the spoon on it, Mr. Dunham?
It isn't as flat. With the side of the spoon on, you can see there's a little mound right there.
All right, so do you think this is gonna be a little bit more challenging?
I think it is.
All right, so we're gonna try this now. I want you to go ahead and flip it over. And first, I just want you to see if you can balance it without walking around. Can you just balance it? Oh, it's a lot more challenging, right? It's hard for it to stay on, a lot more challenging. Good job, Mr. Dunham. I like how Mr. Dunham is even slightly moving just a little bit to keep it balanced, but also he's tilting what we call the face of the racket to help keep the balloon on. So I really like how if it looks like the balloon is gonna come off, he tilts it to the side to bring it back up so it's flat again. Good job, Mr. Dunham. Is that something you could do at home? By making sure if it's about to fall, can you flip the face of that racket so it doesn't fall? I bet you can. All right, now we're gonna add in some movement, all right? You guys ready to have the different face of the racket? And try to see if you can move around and balance either your Ziploc bag, your socks, or your balloon on that face of the racket. What do you notice? Do you notice that you have to keep moving levels with it?
Yeah, sometimes it has to go to a higher level, or sometimes you have to bring it down lower to keep it balanced.
Good job, Mr. Dunham. I would agree with that. It's kind of hard to just keep it at one level. All right, let's try to go to a low level and see if we can balance it. And I want you at home to tell me, do you think this is gonna be easier or harder? So, Mr. Dunham, do you think this is a little bit easier or is it harder at a lower level?
For me, it's a little bit more difficult, I think.
Okay, all right. At home, what do you think? Do you think it's a little bit more difficult when it's low, or do you think it's a little bit more difficult when it's up high? Well, let's try up high now. All right, ready? See if you can balance it on the face of the racket. And is it easier or is it harder? What do you think? For me, it's a little bit harder to go higher. Mr. Dunham, how about you?
For me, it's about the same. I find them both pretty challenging, actually.
All right. All right, good job, you guys. All right, how do you feel about using this as a racket?
Let's try it.
All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna see if we can bounce it to ourselves by using the face of the racket, and we're gonna switch it over and we're gonna use the front side of the racket now, all right? And I want you to just see if you can bounce it 3 times to yourself and then catch it on the paper plate. All right, ready? 3 times to yourself and then catch it on the paper plate. All right, now I want to see if you can hit it with a little bit more force 3 times and catch it. And what do you notice when you hit it with more force? What do you notice, Mr. Dunham, when you hit it with more force?
Well, when I strike it with more force, the balloon goes higher.
Yep, balloon goes higher. Is it easier to catch it on your plate?
Let's see here. I was assisting with my hand. Yeah, I was able to catch it pretty easily.
All right, excellent. All right, so now let's try. Do you think we can do 5 times to try to strike it 5 times?
Yeah, let's try it.
All right, let's go ahead, and at home, I want you to try to strike it 5 times.
3, 4, 5.
All right, 5 times, and try to have it land on your paper plate. Now,
Whoa. There
if
we
you
go.
are having a hard time with the 5 times and having it land, can you go back to 3 times?
Yeah, you can definitely go back
Yep,
to 3 times.
you can go back to 3 times. If you're even having a hard time using the racket, is it okay for you to put the racket down and just use your hand?
Oh, definitely.
All
yeah.
right, so we're gonna try that. If you want, you can put it down and just use your hand. Can you strike it high? And can you strike it low? All right, I'm gonna keep with the racket because I really like rackets, and I'm gonna now go down low. So at home, I want you to show me what you can do. So show me low. Can you strike it low? Can you strike it 5 times low and have it land on the plate? So, Mr. Dunham, do you think it's easier to strike low or to strike high?
I thought it was pretty easy striking low because I wasn't striking it as hard. So I think I had a little bit more control with it.
All right. What do you think at home? Do you think it would be easier to strike it high or to strike it low? Where do you think you have more control of the balloon with your racket? Tell me where you think you have more control. All right, we have a little bit of time left. So, Mr. Dunham, would you like to do a little bit of a challenge?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we're gonna do a challenge at home. All right, you ready? We're gonna use our rackets, and we're gonna see how many times we can strike the balloon without it hitting the ground. If it hits the ground, that's okay. I want you to just pick it up, all right? If it hits the ground more than 3 times, then I want you to do an exercise. You can do some jumping jacks. You can do some squat jumps if you would like. And I want you to do 5 of those exercises if your balloon hits the ground more than 3 times. All right, how does that sound, Mr.
That
Dunham?
sounds good.
All right,
Sounds
you
like a
guys
good
ready
challenge.
for a challenge? All right, so we'll do about a minute challenge. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Oh, hit the ground.
That's okay, because that's just once.
Well, that's twice.
Mr. Dunham, you're going to be doing an exercise. And I might be doing one coming up here in a second. Oh, that's once for me. All right, we got like 20 seconds.
All right, I'm gonna do an exercise. I'm gonna choose puppy push-ups.
Oh.
And that's just a push-up when I have my knees on the floor.
All right, perfect. Uh-oh, this might be 2 for me.
2, 3.
And I got 10 seconds. All right, hopefully I can get out without, I'm gonna have to do an exercise. I'm gonna do jumping jacks because that's my favorite exercise. I have a mic on, and so I gotta, make sure the mic doesn't fall on the floor. All right, go ahead and stop. How do you think you did?
I thought I did pretty well. I think I could use a little bit more practice, though.
All right, and you know what? That's okay, because if this is something new that we're learning, then it's gonna take time, right?
Yeah,
That's how
definitely.
that's how we improve, is practice. All right, so we're gonna do one more challenge. All right, I want you this time to count how many you can do. So, for example, if I start and I get to 2, I want you to count before it hits the ground, and then I want you to see. So if I counted to 5 and then it hit the ground, all right, I want you to see if you can get more than 5 your next time around.
Got it.
All right, so you're gonna have a minute. Ready? Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. And at home, I want you to see how many times can you strike using your racket before it hits the ground. All right, ready? Here we go. Minute and go. Uh-oh, so that was 5 for me. I've got to do a little bit more. I got to try to get 6 now. And I got about 45 seconds left. I got 6, so I beat my last record. That's pretty cool. All right, so that time I got 11, and now I have about 15 seconds. Can I beat it? At home, can you beat yours? And that's a minute. All right, so Mr. Dunham, how many did you get?
Well, the first time around, I got 22.
Oh, nice.
And then the second time around, I got 46.
Oh, wow. So you actually doubled it.
Yeah.
Good job. How about you at home? How many did you guys get? All right, so let's review. All right, we worked with balloons today, and we continued with our theme of striking using paddles, all right, simply just using a paper plate, all right? And if you have some sort of spoon, if you don't have a spoon, you can use a popsicle stick, a painter's stir, whatever. And again, if you just have a paper plate, Mr. Dunham, can you show them what you can do with just a paper plate and a balloon? Perfect. Can you use that like a racket?
Just like a racket.
Excellent. Did we get our heart rates up a little bit?
We did right at the beginning.
All right. Excellent. Is our heart rate going to be as fast as it was doing this activity as it was in the beginning? Did we do some cardio?
Not really. Our heart rate's going to be a little bit lower, but we did get a lot of activity in.
All right. Excellent. That's what I like. All right.
All right. So we'll be back for physical education for grades 3 through 5th. Welcome back, boys and girls, for our grades 3rd through 5th physical education edition. I'm Mr. Dunham, along with...
I'm Margaret Hornbeck.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started today with some physical activity. This is called HIIT. HIIT stands for High Intensity Interval Training. So we're going to have 6 exercises. Each exercise is going to be 30 seconds long, and then we're going to have a 15-second break in between each exercise. So altogether, it's going to be less than 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the exercises that we're going to do, and then we're going to get right into it. So the first exercise we're going to do are jumping jacks. So jumping jacks, you start with standing like a soldier, and then you open yourself up like a plane. Just like this. So if you want to modify the jumping jack, you can just step out to one side instead of doing the actual jumping jack. After that, we're going to do push-ups. So there's 2 different ways we can do push-ups. We can do a regular push-up with our hands underneath our shoulders. Our knees are off the floor. We're on our toes, and you just go down and up. Or you can do what I call a puppy push-up. I just put my knees onto the floor, and I do the push-up like so. Just a modification. Some of you may even want to do a wall push-up. So you may find a wall, and you can do a push-up against a wall. After we do the push-ups, we're going to have a 15-second break, and we're going to go into high knees running in place. So running in place, bringing your knees up. Now, to modify it, you can just march in place, okay? Always the opportunity to move around in physical education. The next activity that we're going to do after the high knees running in place, we're going to do frog jumps. So you're going to get down like a frog and just jump up and down. To modify it, you just go nice and slow maybe. You don't have to go so fast. After we do the frog jump, we're going to do speed skaters. So I'm starting here on my right foot, and I'm going to leap to my left foot. Just like I'm stepping over a giant puddle. To modify, you can just step. Take a giant step. All right? Our last exercise will be a plank. We always end with the plank. So the plank is the top of a push-up. So I would get down into this position like I'm doing a push-up, right here. To modify it, I just gently place my knees down onto the floor. So what do you say we get started?
All right, I'm ready.
Right. So we have a timer right here that'll keep us on track. Oh, and actually it's a 10-second rest, not 15.
Uh-oh. Well,
So
that's
I'm gonna get
5
the
less
music.
seconds.
I'm gonna get the music started. And we're gonna press start in 3, 2, 1, and jumping jacks. Great job, everybody. I know you're working hard at home. I can see you through the camera. Great work. If you want to challenge yourself, you go a little faster, or you bring it down a little bit. And stop. Whew, 10-second break. And we're gonna get into our push-ups in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can do the regular push-up, you can do a puppy push-up, you can even do a wall push-up. Good job, everybody. Down and up, down and up. We got less than 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and up. Great work. Next, high knees running in place. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, go. I'm already breathing hard.
Me too.
Good job, everybody at home. And we're done. A few more exercises to go. Frog jumps. So let's get in that frog jump position and jump up and down. Good job, everybody. Great work. Less than 10 seconds. Three, 2, 1. All right. Next, those speed skaters. Leaping like you're going over a puddle. Ready? And go. Ten seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we end with the challenge, the plank. It's the last exercise. Let's do our best here. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Or drop to your knees to modify it. Good work. Almost done here. 20 seconds. We are 2/3 of the way into this plank. We're almost done. Hold it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew. Wow. Great job, everybody. So,
We're gonna give you guys out there a virtual high 10.
virtual high 10 for sure. That was tough. Now, something to talk about. That remember when you're out in public, we want to keep a distance from each other. And as you can see, Ms. Hornbeck and I are at least 6 feet apart. So we always want to make sure we're keeping that safe distance from one another. So let's take our 6-second pulse to see what our heart rate is. So to find your pulse, first thing you do, I'm going to take my 2 fingers and I'm going to run them down my jawline. It's kind of hard to see with my beard. And I'm going to come right down below my jawline onto my neck. I want to just press with a little bit of pressure, and I can feel my pulse. So what we're going to do, we're going to count how many times we feel it beating for 6 seconds. We'll keep track of that on our watches. And what you're going to do during that 6 seconds, you're going to count and we'll come up with a number. So, give you time to find it. Do you have it? All right. Let's start counting right now. And stop counting. So, during that 6 second time period, I counted 12 beats. Now, to find out what my heart rate is, I take that number 12, I multiply it by 10. So 12 multiplied by 10, that's 120. So what I just counted was 120 beats per minute. Now, it's not the most accurate heart rate measurement, but it gives you a good idea of your activity level. What was your heart rate, Ms. Hornbeck?
It was very similar to yours. It's about 110, 115.
Okay, great. So try that at home. When you get that number, remember what that is. Maybe you can write it down on a piece of paper, and maybe throughout the day, you can keep track of your heart rate. Very simple way to measure your fitness. So what we're gonna do today, we are going to work with striking with a short-handled implement. A short-handled implement is something like a tennis racket or a ping pong paddle. A long-handled implement would be something like a golf club, okay, or a hockey stick. So we're using a short-handled implement. Some of you may have those at home, tennis racket, for example. If you have something like that at home, go ahead and get it, bring it out. If not, you can make one yourself. That's what we did. We just took a paper plate, a wooden spoon from the kitchen, and we taped it on the back of the paper plate, and we made ourselves a paddle. Now, if you don't have a paper plate at home, if you don't have a wooden spoon, maybe you could use a painter's stirrer. Maybe you can use a popsicle stick. You could even use a pencil. If you don't have any of that, you can use a paper plate by itself. There's no reason that you can't participate with just a paper plate. And if you don't have a paper plate, you can use your hands. There's always the opportunity to participate and feel successful in PE. So we're gonna use our paddles here, and I'm gonna grab a balloon. Some of us may not have a balloon at home. If you don't, you can make your own balloon. As you can see, Ms. Hornbeck made one with a sandwich Ziploc bag. All she did was opened up a little corner. She blew into the Ziploc bag, filled it up with air, and then she sealed it. So there you go. You made yourself a balloon, something that you can use. If you don't have a sandwich bag, you know what? Maybe you can use a sock at home. Just roll it up into a ball. If you don't have anything like that, maybe you can just follow along with us, okay? As long as you're participating, or you can take paper, right? We all have paper at home. Just crumble it up, and you can participate with the paper. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hold on to the handle of the paddle, and the handle that we're using today is a wooden spoon from the kitchen. I'm gonna place the balloon onto the head of my paddle, and that's the part of the paddle I'm gonna use to strike the balloon, and I'm just gonna strike it continuously, right? As third, fourth, and fifth graders, hopefully we've had some experience doing an activity like this. If not, that's why we're using the balloons. It's gonna be easier for us to strike with. So we're just kind of getting the motion of striking upwards towards the ceiling and using the flat part of the paddle. So let's watch Ms. Hornbeck. She's going to try striking the balloon up at a high level, keeping the paddle above her head, And I'm going to strike continuously, keeping the paddle below my knees at a low level. So remember the different levels. The high level is above your shoulders. A medium level is between your shoulders and your knees. And a low level is below your knees. So when you're doing this, you can strike continuously at any level you like. Maybe you want to switch hands to your non-dominant hand to get practice striking with both hands. You can even practice striking with the opposite side of the paddle. So the front side of the paddle, the back side of the paddle. Just continuously striking, getting ourselves ready for striking at targets and striking with a partner. So we'll just do this a few more seconds. Maybe even now, why don't you try kind of walking around in your space while you're doing this? It could be forwards, it could be backwards, it could be side to side, it could be around your coffee table or chair. It could be with your puppy, your younger or older siblings, parents or guardians. All righty, let's go ahead and stop. I think we're ready to continue. You feel ready?
Yeah, I feel warmed up and ready.
All right, so what we're gonna do today, we're gonna start off with striking at a target. So targets, when I'm thinking about my house, targets you can use might be a pillowcase. It could be a chair. It could be a spot against your wall. It could be the TV screen, if you like, okay? So you choose what you want as a target. The targets that we're gonna use today, Ms. Hornbeck is going to use these paper plates that we put up against the wall at a high level, a medium level, and a low level. The target I'm gonna be using, I'm just gonna use this laundry basket. Now, let's think about some cues to be able to do this successfully. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna face my target, the laundry basket. I'm going to take the racket or the paddle in my dominant hand, okay, and I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna step forward with my opposite foot. So if I'm holding on to the paddle with my right hand, my opposite foot is my left foot. So we have a little bit of opposition here. We're balanced. I'm gonna hold the balloon out in front of me, and I'm gonna gently drop it, and as I drop it, I'm going to bring the paddle kind of in a circular motion towards the balloon, and I'm gonna strike it towards the target. And as I strike it towards the target, I wanna follow through as if I'm guiding that balloon towards the target. So again, I'm gonna use this laundry basket. Ms. Hornbeck is going to use one of the targets against the wall. Let's get a little bit of practice of striking towards a target. Okay. There we go. Remember, it's important that we're stepping in opposition. Again, that's for your balance. It's like when you're walking. When I'm walking and I'm stepping forward with my left foot, my right arm is swinging forward. And that's all for balance. So we might try 3 or 4 times holding onto the racket or the paddle with your dominant hand. Then we'll switch to our non-dominant hand. There we go. And maybe you don't strike it hard enough and it doesn't reach your target. That's okay, as long as we're practicing. There you go. I'm gonna switch hands now. Practice with my other side.
So, Mr. Dunham, do you think you'll be better with your dominant hand or your non-dominant hand?
You're more than likely going to be better with your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, that's your dominant hand. That's the hand that you use for writing. Maybe it's the hand that you use for eating your cereal. That's the hand that you're holding a spoon with. And because that's the hand you use most often, that's the hand that you're going to have more success with. That's why it's always good to practice with the other side of our body so that we get that balance. All right, we'll try a couple more times at the target. There we go. Let's try one more time here. All righty. So we're going to
Virtual high 10 on that one.
virtual high 10 to you and a air high five.
at home.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to turn this laundry basket over. We're going to use this here. So yeah, we can use this one. Red, one of the colors of one of my school colors. So that's why I got red here. So we're practicing striking at a target, holding on to the paddle or racket with our dominant hand, striking and following through towards our target. So today, to continue, our target is now a partner. So if you have someone at home, a parent, a guardian, an aunt or uncle, a sibling, you can practice this with them. If you are like my daughter and an only child, then you can still practice these techniques, but you just continue striking against a target or towards a target. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this laundry basket and we're going to put it between the two of us, almost as if it's a net that you would see on a tennis court. And we're going to continue striking, but this time towards each other. Again, right now, facing your target. You're taking that dominant hand with the paddle back, stepping forward, striking towards your partner, okay? When the balloon travels over to Miss Hornbeck, she can do one of two things. She can strike it right back to me, or if she feels like she needs to catch it first, she can catch it, and then she can strike it to me, all right?
I'm going to go ahead and catch it for the first time and just kind of see how it is. And now I'm going to strike it back to Mr. Dunham.
That's a good idea. I'm going to do the same. So now we're going to strike continuously back and forth. Let's try that.
All right, let's try it.
Now, sometimes you might have to strike it more than once on your side, and then you can strike it back.
Is it okay to use either side of the racket?
Sure, you can use either side. If it hits the ground, we just pick it up.
And just go again.
There you go. We'll strike it back and forth a few more times. You can even take the paddle up over your head. You're following that same kind of motion, except underhand, now it's overhand. Let's hit it 2 more times each. And we are done there. Great job. We're going to go ahead and clean up our area. That way we don't slip, we don't fall. We keep our space nice and clean. All right, so today we were working on striking with a short-handed implement. And again, a short-handed implement is something like a tennis racket, a ping pong paddle, a badminton racket. And what would a long-handled implement be?
A long-handed implement might be like a hockey stick or a golf club.
Yeah. So again, we used a short-handed implement that we made at home using wooden spoons, paper plate, okay? Something that you can do at home. So we've mentioned a couple of sports that you use when you are using a short-handed implement. Tennis, ping pong, badminton. A lot of sports that you are familiar with. So we just wanted to thank you for joining us here for our physical education time. Thank you for joining us today for At Home with APS.